Welcome to the podcast of Arturo and Silvia Escobar, a couple married for over 40 years and proud parents of 6 children who have dedicated their lives to serving and training families in the Illinois area. As realtors, their mission is not only to help you find your dream home or invest in real estate, but also to provide fresh and practical information that benefits our community. In each episode, Arturo and Silvia share tools, tips, and resources to strengthen families both financially and personally, including marriage courses that inspire couples to stay strong and committed. They also feature special guests who contribute valuable knowledge for the growth of your family and your future. This is a space created for you to inform, inspire, and accompany you on the journey towards your dreams. Welcome. This is Cafecito con los Escobar, the podcast.
Welcome to Cafecito con los Escobar. It is a pleasure to have you. Thank you for being here. This is our 10th episode, I think, and we're still learning, still trying to work out the kinks, but we're having fun. And we only ask that if you're here that you would like and follow the podcast so you don't miss any of the episodes. We have some really good ones coming up. Today, we're actually going to be talking about the question that we get all the time, and that is, how's the market? So we're going to be talking specifically about the market here in Chicago and suburbs, surrounding suburbs, and we're going to be talking about what you need to know if you're thinking about selling your home, what you need to know if you're thinking about buying a home, and the market in general. So let's go with the first one. How's the market?
In general, right? Mm-hmm. The market is active still. It's what we call in real estate seller's market. Mm-hmm. And it's very fast, it's very active. Buyers are motivated, and with the little movement of the interest rate, buyers are getting motivated, and still seller's market. We're still getting multiple offers for the houses depending on conditions and the pricing, but we still get multiple offers. So sellers should know that if they have to sell, if they're interested in selling, it's still a seller's market, and it's a good way to get a good price for your property. Mm-hmm. So, but it really depends on the market. Depends on what you're selling, or either selling or buying. Mm-hmm. So for both of, if you're in the seller side, is one thing, and if you're on the buyer side, is another thing. Mm-hmm. So it's it really depends on your goals, on your needs, and the plans that you have for you and your family. Mm-hmm.
I like to think of it as the market doesn't dictate how, whether or not we can achieve our goals. What the market dictates is our strategy. Mm-hmm. How are we going to achieve those goals that we have? And so I think that that's important, and I think that's why you're saying, well, it's going to be very general, because we need to evaluate each situation differently and see what strategy we have to create around that specific need.
And just in general, again, in the Chicagoland area, the houses are selling up to a 98% of the asking price, which is amazing. Sellers are getting 98% of the asking price when the house is priced the right way. And days on the market for the Chicagoland area is about 30 days on the market. And the benefit in these days for the sellers is incredible. So if you are on the market planning to sell in the near future, this is a good time to put it on the market.
Well, that's a good segue, because the next question is, what do people need to know if they're thinking about selling their property or their home?
There are again, based on their needs, and that's our goal. Mm-hmm. When we sit with the seller, we just don't give them numbers. We interview the family, the selling couple, or whoever wants to sell. And one of our biggest things is determine the needs, their goals. Mm-hmm. We sit down with them and we analyze their situation, their plans, their needs, and then we help them, we guide them to make a decision. Just last week, I was seated with a family that we know for a long time. It's a pastor in the Chicago area, and they're retiring, or he is retiring, but finally decided that it's time to move out of the cold weather of Chicago. So they are, so their goal is to move to the border of Mexico, and because he is a pastor and his passion is to help people, to serve people, he wants to be close to the border and go into the Mexico remote areas and help people in need. So we, with all of that knowledge that we have, the time that they want to move, we evaluate the cash that they're going to need at closing. We create a plan, strategy for them to make a move without any concerns, without any bumps on the road.
That's good, and that's why it's so important, right? To have us to sit down with them. And I think one of the things that I really love about what we do is that we get to hear people's stories.
Amazing.
And we get to hear what their goals are and what their dreams are, and then we come together to try to put that together and help them achieve that goal. So that's a really great goal. I'm looking forward to seeing how that ends. I think also when it comes to what people should know if they're thinking about selling their home is that, yes, we are right now at a seller's market. And so what that means, so I think last year, 2025, the prices in Chicago overall for single family homes went up 13%.
13%. That's amazing.
So that means that their equity was huge in a lot of cases, right? And so that's a really good opportunity and a really good time to think about, if you're thinking about selling your home, consider the fact that right now it's in the seller's market. However, that's in Illinois, in the Chicagoland area. I was in Florida last week, right? And I met with some realtors over there at Keller Williams in Florida in Clearwater. And they were saying that over there, it's a buyer's market. And so the shift happens differently for every state, but we can already start to see the shift going into a buyer's market. Right now, it would have to get into a stable, balanced market first and then shift into a buyer's market. But right now, it's still very much a seller's market. So if you're thinking about selling a home, I would say this would be a really good time.
Yes.
Because inventory is low, right? The prices are up. But once the shift happens, all of that will start stabilizing. And
which we see some areas that are already stabilizing.
Yes, some areas are already stabilizing.
In the northwest suburbs, for example.
So you want to be able to have a consultation to see where you are and what's your timeline? What are you thinking about? Where do you want to be in a year or two?
Yeah.
Right, so that you can start making that evaluation, because we cannot predict the market. We can see some trends and we can start seeing something going in a certain direction. We can't really say for sure by March it's going to be this or by May it's going to be this. But where we are right now, it's a seller's market. And what we've seen across the nation, moving toward a buyer's market. So
which it always happens like that, right? Sometimes the market goes to a seller market and then buyer's market, and that helps the industry to stabilize in prices and help people to either buy or sell, depending on their needs again.
Right. So that brings us to another question. If we're going to say that about the sellers, what sellers need to know, instantly, what comes to mind, especially if you're not moving to Texas, you're not moving to Florida, if you're moving around here, the next question that people have is, okay, but what if I can't find anything? What if I sell my house and then I can't find something? What would you say to that?
Again, it depends on the strategy. We analyze the situation. We recommend steps, and we follow those steps to get us where we want to be, to get us to the goal. One of the things that we have seen in the past, which even when the market was even more active, we never let anybody homeless, for example. We always were able to get them homes. So, but we work with situations, for example, we could extend the closing, just a practical little things. We could rent back. And remember one of our sellers took a long vacation and then came back and stay on a hotel for a couple of months, and we were able to find them a home. So that's something that you could do. So there are little things here and there to protect you in the process, and help you find your new place. So it is always something available for you to buy according to your needs.
And also, I think also as part of the analysis that we do when when we're talking to somebody, right? We talk about, okay, so you want to sell this property. This is how much it's going to go for. This is how much you're going to get. This is how much the down payment is. This is how much you qualify for. And then let's look at what the inventory is right now, so that you can get a better idea of what you're going to get. Is this what you're looking for, right? And so all of that happens in that conversation of strategizing. Again, the market doesn't determine our goals. The market determines the strategy that we need to achieve our goals. Exactly. And so I think that's one of the conversations that's important. It's an important conversation. And I think what we don't want is for people to hold back on their goal to sell because they're afraid of where they're going to move to. Because we will have that conversation way before you have to move. Yep. Right? And so that's...
planning is the name of the game.
Planning is important.
And knowing numbers, knowing areas, knowing what you want to go, where you want to go, what you want to do with your net cash is totally important, because that determines the process that we're going to take.
Yes. So when we're talking about what buyers should know if they're thinking about buying a house, and I think one of the things is that, the other day we had a kind of an impromptu workshop, right? 20 minutes that they asked us, they invited us to this women's entrepreneurial
amazing group of women
meeting that they had. And they had some guest speakers, and they asked us to be one of them. And for 20 minutes, we got to talk to people who are entrepreneurs, but they are thinking about buying, or they would like information on buying a house. And we gave them, and we had some outstanding response, right? Like 50% of the people who were there want an appointment to see about, how they can buy a house, which was amazing. And then we see how many people, especially people in our community, in the people in the Latino community, as well as other communities, but we speak a lot of our workshops are in Spanish, so a lot of the people that we work with are Latinos. And in the Latino community, there is such a desire for home ownership. I think that's amazing, but also for investments. So it's like really, I'm really excited for our community, because in the United States, that's the way you acquire wealth, is through owning property.
Real estate. And the other thing that that was an incredible surprise for me, not that I didn't know it, but it came to be so real during that meeting, is the lack of information that is out there, or there is some information that is not the right information. So people are basing, and they have fear to buy, basing their decisions on information that they hear somewhere else. But once we presented simple, easy steps to get ready, everybody got excited, and the response was so great, because people can see at that point, hey, I can do this. It's not as hard as my neighbor says or my friend says. I can do this, and we want to get more informed, because we just talked about general things, but they wanted to set up an appointment with us and then talk about more specific, again, according to their needs and their circumstances, to determine, again, a plan, a strategy to follow to get them a place.
Yeah. And so let's address one of the biggest fears, right, that people have when they're trying to buy a house. We just talked about how it's a seller's market. We just talked about how inventory is low. So those are facts, right? But then okay, the market doesn't determine our goals, it determines our strategy.
Yes.
So what can we say to a person who's looking to buy in this time period, and why should they buy in this time?
One of the things that I noticed is the big misconception is people are saying, I am waiting for the interest rates to go down. And we have seen the interest rate be so low a few years ago, and then they went up to 7.5, almost close to 8. And we're getting to the point that I think, and the experts think that interest rates are stabilizing also. And we are in the low 6, and even that 2 weeks ago or a week ago, we crossed the line down to the 5.75. So if you wait a year to buy a home, and we talked about the increasing in prices of 13% in some areas, the waiting, if you wait a year, in a year the houses are going to be, their value is going to be a lot more. You're not in the same situation in terms of the payment. Because the interest rate is going to stay at 6, I think, and then, but the price went up, so their payment is going to be basically the same or maybe even higher because of the interest rate not going as people want to, not going down as people want to, but the price is going up. So this is the time to buy, I think, because even if the interest rate hopefully go down to 3 or 4 or 5, they're still refinancing. Some lenders are refinancing for free, or for a couple of $1,000s.
Yeah.
Without any.
Speaking of refinancing, when do we suggest? Because there are people who own right now, and they hear interest rates going down, and they say, "Okay, should I refinance?" Right? And maybe they're getting phone calls from their lenders offering to refinance. When do you recommend that people refinance?
In general, what we recommend is you have to lower your interest rate by 1%, by 1 point, and or bring your term from 30 years to 20, 15 years. If you are able to do either one of those two things, you are a good candidate to refinance. If you have a 7 and you get a 6, good. If you have a 30-year loan, long term, and you are able to bring it down to 20, excellent. But remember, the payments are going to change according to the decision that you make.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the things that we're really, really, we really push our clients to be able to live comfortably in the monthly payments.
Yes.
Because that's where you're going to live, regardless of what the interest rate was or how much the house cost, where you are monthly. That's what's going to help you sleep at night, right? So you don't want to pressure yourself so much that you lose sleep over your monthly payment. And
bringing it too much, the term too much.
Right. So then whether it be for refinancing or even when we're looking for the house, right? When we're looking for the house, we do numbers with them. We sit down with them. We tell them, okay, this is what the monthly payment would look like. I think one of the main things about these consultations that we have with our clients is that it takes away the mystery. It takes away the uncertainty. Yes. It helps answer questions, and it creates a plan that is doable. We're not going to jump from one thing all the way to the other thing without any information. Information is key, and we're huge on education, yes. Right? So I think one of the things is that when we sit down with our clients, we're able to sit and establish some kind of hearing what their story is, hearing what their needs are, what their wants are, and then creating a strategy for them. And we don't charge for that, right? That is a free consultation. And I think that's one thing that people don't know. In fact, we've gotten some people asking us, hey, this realtor was charging us to do a consultation, or this lender was charging us to do a consultation. There's so many of us that don't. We don't charge. So you shouldn't have to pay for that.
Shouldn't pay.
So consultations are free from the realtors and the lenders, and we have a whole team of people. You need an attorney, a real estate attorney. You need a you need a lender, we have resources for that. And then us as realtors, we can do a consultation. And usually when we sit down with somebody, we can determine what kind of other resources they need and then bring those alongside so that they can have a conversation. Again, consultation for free.
And just a note, for more details about refinancing, talk to your lender. We're giving general information here.
Yes.
But your lender will be able to work the numbers with you and to show you what's beneficial for you compared with the other ways to do it. So it is important that you get informed with people that have your best in mind, and get good advice and make a move in the direction of those good advices. But it's important to talk to a lender.
Yes. Okay, well, this was a really good talk. I think for more details, we would have to sit down with somebody so that we can find out where they live. Because even through the different places in Chicago and the different places in the suburbs, there's different numbers,
Yes.
right? And so sitting down and talking to us about your plans could be very helpful for you to be able to actually create a plan, right? That would be good for you. So,
and the information is free.
And the information is free. So thank you for being here. Just wanted to remind you, we do have a webinar coming up, speaking of investing, and the desire that people are having to invest. We are going to be having a webinar in English in February, and that one is going to be on fix and flips. We had this one last year. Some people were not able to make it, and they said, can you do it again? So we're going to do it again, fix and flips. How do you purchase a place? How do you do the numbers? And how do you find out if that's actually profitable for you?
Very important.
It's a very important process, but it's easy to understand, and we will walk you through it and see if it's something for you. And even if it's not something that you have been thinking about, the information is valuable because it opens up your mind to other possibilities. And so we invite you to join us for this webinar in February. It's going to be about fix and flips, and the information will be below. We also remind you to please follow so that you don't miss any of the episodes, and that you like if this has been of interest to you. Also comments. Comments are great.
Yes.
It helps us to see where we are, what you would like to hear, what would you like to see. And it gives us an idea of what kind of topics are useful to you, because this is what it's all about. It's about bringing information to you. That's why we created this podcast to make it easy, accessible for you to get the information that you need so that you can make the best decisions that are best for you. So thank you for joining us.
Thank you.